All right, today we're going to tackle something a little different. We are taking a military manual that's, get this, 2,500 years old, and we're dropping it right onto the front lines of modern technology. We are talking about Sun Tzu's The Art of War, but with a pretty major twist. This is the 2025 Quality Assurance Edition. Let's see if ancient strategy can actually help us win modern software battles.
I know, it sounds kind of out there, right? Chariots and code, spears and servers, but stick with me, because the core question here is actually fascinating. Can the strategic wisdom that guided generals on ancient battlefields really help us win the complex, messy software battles we're fighting today? Well, let's find out.
I mean, let's be real. The battlefield has changed. A lot. Sun Tzu's world was all about physical terrain, visible armies, stuff you could see and touch. Our battlefield in 2025? It's completely digital. It's defined by things like AI, continuous delivery pipelines, and these massive cloud infrastructures. The tools couldn't be more different, but what's really interesting is how the fundamental principles of strategy are being challenged and totally reinvented for this new era.
Okay, so let's open the manual. We're going to take Sun Tzu's core principles, one by one, and see how they really stack up against the tough realities of modern software development.
This is probably Sun Tzu's most famous line, right? Know your enemy, know yourself, and you'll always win. It sounds so simple, so straightforward. But, it's not quite that simple anymore.
And here's why. Our enemy, the bugs, the system failures, it isn't some clear, identifiable army anymore. It could be hiding deep inside a black box AI model, or popping up from a third-party API that you have zero control over. Or maybe it's just lurking in a dynamic cloud environment that's changing from one minute to the next. So how in the world do you fight an enemy you can't even see? The modern answer is that the strategy has to shift. We have to move from finding known bugs to anticipating unknown failures. This means we have to embrace techniques like observability, so we can actually see what's happening deep inside our systems. It means using chaos testing, where we literally break things on purpose just to see what happens. And for AI, it's all about predicting and monitoring for things like model drift before they cause a disaster.
So that invisible enemy we were just talking about? Well, it lives on a totally new kind of battlefield. The fight isn't over physical ground anymore. The entire war has moved online, and it's fought over data.
Here's another classic Sun Tzu principle. Things like feints, ambushes, misinformation, all the tools of a really clever general. And in the world of QA, this idea is actually more relevant than ever. But of course, it comes with a modern twist. Okay, so this is the big question. How do you deceive a system to get it to reveal its weaknesses? We have to basically trick our own software into failing, but in a totally controlled environment. And with AI and all the complex user data we have now, the ethical lines are absolutely critical. The whole point is to expose vulnerabilities without causing any real harm or, breaking user trust. And this is really the key. Modern deception isn't about sabotage. You can think of it more like resilience training. We're simulating bad actors, we're throwing all sorts of random, messed up data at our inputs with something called fuzz testing, and we're intentionally creating chaos to make sure our systems can handle it. It's all about building strength through controlled adversity. This brings us to a really, really important point in modern development. We are all completely obsessed with speed, but Sun Tzu's wisdom kind of forces us to stop and ask, is just moving fast really the same thing as being strong? Sun Tzu was a huge advocate for speed. Hit the enemy while they're unprepared. And that philosophy? It's at the very heart of modern DevOps and our CI/CD pipelines. We all want to ship features fast, but there's a huge danger lurking here. Just look at this chart for a second, because it shows the trade-off perfectly. Having a high release velocity is awesome, but if your confidence in the quality of those releases is in the gutter, you're not really being fast. You're just shipping bugs faster. True sustainable speed is all about balance. It's about moving quickly, but with confidence. So the modern definition of speed isn't just about how often you deploy. It's really about the speed of your feedback loop. How quickly can you get reliable, high-confidence information about your system's health? This means doing things like using AI for smarter test generation and actually prioritizing your tests based on real business risk. This is classic Sun Tzu strategy. Find the weak spot and strike. Simple. But in today's super interconnected systems, figuring out what the weak spot even is, well, it's way trickier than you'd think.
Look at this! A tiny little failure in what seems like an insignificant microservice or some random API. It can cascade through the entire system and lead to a massive outage. That so-called weak point wasn't weak at all. It was a critical dependency that was just hidden in plain sight. We have to test the connections between things, not just the individual parts.
And all of this leads us to the ultimate strategic goal. This is the highest form of victory, both in ancient warfare and, believe it or not, in modern software quality. This is it. This is the big one, the most profound principle of all. The greatest victory is the one you win without having to fight. And in our world, that means one thing: preventing bugs from ever being written in the first place.
Now, this idea, it requires a huge cultural shift. You can see it on the chart here. The focus has to move away from just finding bugs after they're made. The new goal is prevention. It's about coaching quality throughout the entire development process. QA has to stop being a gatekeeper at the end and start being a partner from the very beginning.
But look, even with the best prevention in the world, failures are still going to happen. That's where all the preparation pays off. A truly disciplined, well-prepared team is measured by its mean time to recovery. Can you fix a major production problem in under 15 minutes? Hitting a number like that, that's the mark of a team that has already won the battle through pure preparation.
So, let's pull all of this together into a new battle plan. As you can see in this table, every single ancient principle, from knowing your enemy in an age of AI to winning without fighting, each one has a clear, modern, actionable interpretation. This right here, this is your new strategic framework.
So what does this all mean for you? Where does this leave us? Well, it points to a new mission, really. A whole new identity for every single person involved in building software today.
If you remember one thing from all this, let it be this. Your primary enemy isn't just a bug in the code. It is the overwhelming, crushing complexity, the entropy, the crazy unforeseen consequences of the systems we build every day. That is the real war that we're fighting.
And to win that war, it's going to require a fundamental shift in how we think. It is no longer enough to just be a tester who finds bugs. The mission now is to become a quality strategist, someone who uses systems thinking to see around corners, to anticipate risk, and who leads the charge for resilience and prevention.
So I just leave you with this final thought. Now that you've got the new battle plan, now that you can see the modern battlefield for what it truly is, what's your next strategic move?